What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Lou Reviews. I am your host, Luis Jimenez. Welcome to the destination for critical thinking in the realm of the unexplained. Please don't forget to smack that like, share, subscribe button, ring the bell, that way you're notified. If you want to support the show, we've got a Venmo link down below in our link tree. We've also got super chats that are open, so if you want to help the show, go for it. Let's see here, what else? What are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to be talking about the Transparency Task Force. The Transparency Task Force, headed up by Representative Paulina Luna. We're also going to talk about a little bit Ross Coulthart lying again. And Gary Nolan also has released a 26-page manual on how to deal with debunkers and skeptics. A scientist is really upset when you ask simple questions about the reality of aliens visiting our planet. He gets so mad when you offer real-world grounded solutions, and it's so odd considering this man has his name on a building at Stanford. It's shocking. It really is. It's one of these things that just really makes no sense in this whole discussion. Before we get started, of course, want to say hello to everyone who is patiently waiting in the chat. Pat Calabria, first to the comments. Yo, back at you. Dave B, Sandra McDonald on the other side of the planet. Morty Matt, Brad Berry, Jello Putin, Tropic Horizon. I think I said Brad Berry, but Brad Berry again. Simon Fly, what's up? Jason Parker. I can't pull up your message because it was retracted. Ty Blee. Michael Huntington. Guys, what is shaking? So happy you guys are here. All right. Shall we get started with the nonsense of today? I think it's time. It is time. All right, let's do it. Okay, so we're going to switch to our good old Lou Reviews studio here. And as you can see, we've got our tweet pulled up from today. Let's get to our bookmarks and let's see what we're going to talk about and tackle first, shall we? It's amazing, man. Absolutely amazing that we've got so many things happening. But okay, where do we start? We covered that. Okay, so first of all, everybody, I think, at least for the most part on the internet, the thing that I've been getting are just clips, little clips of this. They're calling it because there's so many different task force names. But let me get this right. Let me just go to her page. But it's a task force on transparency and ending government secrecy. They are... she's heading this congressional body. I believe it only has a 6-month lifespan. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's the Declassification and Transparency Task Force. And it's funny because we've got here, I'm on her page. I'll just go ahead and whip it over, show you guys what I'm looking at. So, here's everyone who's on the task force. We're going to play the whole briefing, the whole 16-minute question and answer portion of this task force and the announcement of it. I think it's important. Again, I like getting all of the context and everything that they say, in addition to the little clips. But mostly people just want to talk about the little clips. But I like to dissect the whole thing because I think when you go back and you really listen to what people are saying, and this just goes to not just this community, but just our human community as a whole. People don't listen. And it's so clear They pull what they want to pull from what they're listening to. They're hearing it, but they're not listening to it. And perfect example of that is Ross Coulthart's egg video. Just like last week, there was this big hubbub about how the video on the News Nation wasn't the video connected. It wasn't connected directly to Jake Barber. Yeah, no shit. We said that literally the very next day here on this show. We made that clear as day. But everybody came to the realization just like a couple of days ago. And it was kind of shocking. It's just like, look at, like, they said Ross said in his reporting that this is a separate video. I mean, he only said it once, and the way they said it was really quick, but it was in there. And it's because people aren't listening. And that's why, I mean, that was our biggest issue with it, is the fact that he was implying and inferring that this egg-shaped video was connected to Jake Barber and had nothing to do with each other. Which opens up a whole nother can of questions, you know? So it's just, listen better, I guess, is my advice to all of humanity. But the task force consists of the most fringe politicians on Capitol Hill. Let's just be real. These people that I'm going to name to you are the fringe of the right wing. They are as right as you can get. And they lean into conspiracy theories. They believe in things like Pizzagate. They believe in things, you know, like this, like, I mean, just look, we'll talk about it. They believe in all of the conspiracy theories, and they want to get to the bottom of it. And so this task force is the list of Republicans is as follows. I believe they're all Republican, but the task force will soon hold its first hearing. And you've got Anna Paulina Luna, Republican out of Florida, and she's a chairwoman of this committee. Or task force. It's not even a committee. Representative Nancy Mace, who's a Republican out of South Carolina, who really hates transgender people. She just doesn't want men in the women's restroom, which I can understand. I totally understand that. So, but she also, again, just leans, and there's just a lot of conspiratorial things that she subscribes to. And the fact that she's part of this task force, I want to call it a committee, but it goes to show. So again, another Republican. Representative Lauren Boebert, the Republican out of Colorado. A lot of people are very familiar with how crazy this woman is. Personally, I think she's absolutely nuts. She's one of the most, I honestly, when I listen to her speak, I think to myself, how did someone like that get elected into office? How did they raise money? How did they organize? What did they run on? It'd be interesting to go see her debates in the state of Colorado when she was running for Congress. I'm curious to know what she's running on, considering it's a state that has legalized psychedelics. So it's a weird, anyway, it's weird. She's a weird chick. Representative Eric Burlison. We've discussed many times on this show our issues with Eric Burlison. Again, not only fringe member of the Republican Party, he's a very new member of the Republican Party, and yeah, his religious beliefs are very extreme. Eli Crane, don't know much about Eli Crane, but another Republican out of Arizona, and Representative Brandon Gill. Don't know much about Brandon, but a Republican out of Texas. And of course, Tim Burchett. Can't forget good old Tim Burchett out of Tennessee. Okay, so those are the members. And it's funny, James Comer, who is the chairman of the House GOP Oversight Committee, was basically let this assembling of what Nancy Mace calls the dream team to give America, the American people, the answers they're owed. Okay, so what exactly is this task force going to be looking at? So let's just hear it from her mouth, the chairwoman of this task force. I've got a couple videos here, but this is the one I really want to get into here. The person who shared this video is Askapol. So if you want to go check it out on Twitter, you can, or just, Google it. It's a government sponsored video, so I don't need to, do the whole fair use thing. So here we go. Anna Paulina Luna. Let me make sure the volume is up. Let me make sure the volume's up over on this side. Here we go.
Thank you all for being here.
All right, so hold on a second, guys. I'm gonna really bump the volume on this because it's really low, and I know that. So just give me a second, and I'll fix it for y'all. Take time to say hello to someone in the chat that maybe you've never said hello to before, while I bump up the decibels on the audio here. Let's see. You think 5 decibels will do it? Maybe let's go 6 decibels because I have a feeling we're going to need it. All right, let's go.
Today is a great day for transparency in America.
A little better.
Because today I'm proud to announce the creation of the Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets. This task force will be a part of the House Oversight Committee and led by the very talented and persistent Congresswoman from Florida, Anna Paulina Luna. During her time on the Oversight Committee, Representative Luna is a sledgehammer against government secrecy. She is committed to throwing open the windows for the American people to allow the sunlight of truth shine on the federal government. I can think of no better person in Congress to lead this task force than Representative Luna. Last month, President Trump signed an executive order to begin the process to declassify information on the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK. This task force serves to build on President Trump's actions. For far too long,
all right, so right there we're getting, I hope the volume's okay for you. It's about as high as, I bumped it up to 11 decibels on the audio. So I hope you might have to bump up the audio on your guys' end. Sorry, I apologize, but yeah, it's just really low audio. Thank you, government. So yeah, RFK, so Robert F. Kennedy, JFK, John F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. Honestly, I don't have issues with that. I don't have issues with any of the things they're going to look into. So let me just preface this whole thing with that. My whole concern is, do these lawmakers have enough juice to actually get the answers that they're looking for? And what I mean by juice, I mean, do they have enough political power to actually make these things happen? Maybe. Now, maybe, because the Republicans have the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branch. So it's dude, it's up for grabs. Who knows? I mean, I'm interested to see what this task force puts out. But right off the bat, that's pretty interesting.
The American people have had reasonable questions of what their government, which they fund every day, keeps hidden about certain issues. And for far too long, the federal government has not answered these questions. This creates distrust in our institutions. That ends today.
Can't argue that.
The voters of this nation delivered a historic mandate to
We can't argue that. And those are some of the philosophies that we were sharing in the Big Phone Home. All of them was like, hey, at the worst case scenario, give us the truth on this stuff. And if it's nothing, at least we have the truth, and you earn so much more trust from the American people when you share these things, when you share everything you have about JFK, RFK, UFOs, MLK, 9/11, COVID, be as honest and forthright as you can. And if there's mistakes that are made, admit to those mistakes. Hey, we got this wrong. We overreacted here, or we didn't do enough here. Own the mistake as quickly as you can. And I think that gives very little reason for the American people to trust their government. So to be more transparent, man, that's good for everyone. Now, of course, there are things that need to be classified, but all of the files on JFK should not be classified. Pretty much everyone is dead that's even connected either to the case or the event itself. I don't know who else is really alive. that is significant to the JFK case. All of those things should have been released decades ago. So again, I don't have an issue with this. So starting out pretty well. Let's see what else I have to say.
Trump on November 5th. The keystone of that mandate was demanding increased transparency of their government and elected leaders, and the mandate of this task force is to acquire that transparency. We will open this up for questions from the media, but first I'd like to hand it over to my esteemed colleague and chairman of the new task force, Congresswoman Luna, for her remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Comer. When our founding fathers stood against tyranny, they did not merely oppose taxes. They defended the sacred idea of individual sovereignty. They declared that no government, agency, or title could infringe upon the freedoms of speech, religion, thought, and the pursuit of truth. For too long, the American spirit has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy, by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era, where the light of truth begins to shine through. A few weeks ago, President Donald Trump made a historic announcement. With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged.
Okay. Unidentified aerial phenomenon, also known as UAPs. I mean, those are those are the same things. Why don't you just call them UFOs? That's what people know they are. I think it's, I don't know. Either definition is, I think, too broad, but I don't know. I don't think people know what the hell UAPs are. Unidentified aerial phenomena. Anyway.
Submerged objects, also known as USOs.
Yeah,
the
USOs.
Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19.
The Epstein client list. This is a big one. I mean, it's got nothing to do with conspiracies or anything. But again, like, this is something that if you, and I have to agree with her here, like, if you're espousing the principles of the founding fathers and the systems that they put in place, while not perfect and are antiquated in some ways, show me a better. Damn, bro. How long have I been muted, man? How did that even happen? Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to mute myself. Lucky I can read lips. Thanks, Matt, for the text. Where did I leave off? Where did I mute myself, guys? Oh, yeah. This was the first one I got. Ah, gosh, I hate when that happens. It's so annoying. Help me out, guys. How long? How long have I been muted? Like 2 minutes? You've been muted for like 2 minutes now. Okay. Okay, anyway, shit. I don't know what I said in the last 2 minutes, but I was discussing, if anyway, transparency is good for the people. The more transparent you are, the better it is. The more trust you win from the people for their government. And, she's bringing up the Epstein client list. That's where I paused it. And, that should be public. We should know. The public should know who went to that island and how many times. And the public should know the connections to Mossad and Epstein. Like, there are so many just really awful things about that whole situation. And I think really opens up a can of dark, ugly worms. But the best thing to do, the best thing a government can do is own it. That's the best thing they can do. Put it into the light, admit where you've made mistakes, admit where there are shortcomings, and yeah, like I think as much as I don't think this task force is going to have a lot of oomph behind it, a lot of power, I do agree with the spirit of it, because so far everything that they've named on this list, I'm like, sure, yeah, I'd like the answers to that. Especially, and this is what I was talking about when I was muted, I think. 9/11. Like, there's so many questions that people have about that day, and I don't like to talk about it because it's a really deep rabbit hole of conspiracy, and to talk about something as if you know exactly what happened, I think is incredibly disrespectful to the people that died on that day, and to just throw theories out there that you think, oh, it was an inside job, oh, there was, bombs in the building, maybe not. But to plant a flag as if you definitely know, especially if you're not like if you never studied physics or architecture or any of those things, and you're espousing as if you know, I think the fact that there have been so many sort of again secrets behind answers that people want when it comes to that day, it festers and breeds conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists. I mean, Alex Jones made his entire empire off of 9/11 and it being an inside job. And that empire has now literally has the ear of the president of the United States. All because you didn't want to be transparent with the American people on exactly what happened that day. Like, for me, and this is just the theory, but it wouldn't shock me if there were explosives in those buildings, but not planted by the United States government, but planted by terrorists who figured out how to infiltrate our system, disguise themselves as companies, show up in buildings and do elevator work or painting or whatever. And throughout a 6-month period could probably plant the entire building with explosives. And then at that point, all you need is a matchstick or a detonator. And if this, let's say something like that happened on 9/11, I could understand the government going, nobody can fucking know about this. Nobody can know that we fucked up this bad. But I think it's healthy to let everybody know you fucked up that bad, if that is the case. And maybe this task force gets to the bottom of that. I don't know. So sorry I was muted. If you're listening on the podcast, don't worry, I'll cut the muted out. So that's the good thing about listening to this show on a podcast. It does come a little later, but moments like that are cut out. So thanks, guys, for the patience. Thank you for the text. Thank you for the 15 people saying I muted myself once again. Anyway, you guys, let's continue.
And the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson.
What the?
Set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know.
Yeah.
We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens.
Okay, I also have to stop here because this is great. Steve Long just popped in and says, I made it, guys. What did I miss? Did Lou go on any muted rants? Yeah, it did. And here's the thing. You own the mistake, right? Laugh at it. Say, fuck, not again. How? But to sit here and go, nah, I didn't mute this. I didn't mute the show. Or to be like, to realize I muted the show and then just unmute it and continue talking as if nothing happened. Like, that's basically what the government's been doing. So it's an analogy. The government is a YouTube live stream. And when they make mistakes, they don't own them. Instead, they just plow right through them as if nothing happened. And that's a bad thing, right? It's also not entertaining or funny. You know? Like, anyway. Let's see what else. Oh, I did that.
There's also Democrats that are looking into a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long.
I like the spirit of it.
If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency, that begins now. Without further ado, we'd like to open it up for questions, as I'm sure many of you have those. Hands up.
Thank you, ma'am. Obviously, your goals are aligned with the administration's on the...
Sorry, guys. This audio is really low, and I cannot bump this up at all. But I'll try and repeat the question for you so you understand what she's answering here.
Declassification of Martin Luther King and the Kennedys. How would you handle if you end up, whether it's President Trump or Attorney General Bondi or T&I Gabbard, if they disagree with, what you're looking to declassify on a certain topic, whether it's UAPs or 9/11.
So he's asking, what if there's a difference of opinion on what should be classified between the executive branch and this task force? Even though you guys seem to be aligned, what if it comes to this point where you, as the task force, believe it should be declassified, and the executive branch is going, no? Who's got the power?
Or something like that. How would you handle if there's some stuff that they don't necessarily want to declassify?
Well, certainly, I think that they'd be supportive, being that they're advocating for this. But also, I want to remind the American people that this is bipartisan. There's also Democrats that are looking into answering these very questions. But certainly, we would share that information with the American people. This is about transparency. And I think, again, as I stated, for far too long, there's been a massive push to keep the American people in the dark, and that ends today.
Do you have subpoena power?
Chairman?
The task force does not have subpoena power. I do. The task force is going to be subsidiary of the full oversight committee. So if we have to issue one, Congress.
Okay, they're asking if there's subpoena power. I just want to re-listen to that answer because she doesn't even know. She has to refer. I think it's to is this Comer who's with her? I can't remember. I can't tell. Let me see. What does Comer look like again? What kind of white guy does Comer look like again? Let me see. Let's see what kind of white James Comer is. Oh my gosh. Funny. Yeah. Yep, that's him. That's James Comer. All right, so that is Comer. So it's a GOP oversight chairman. He's the House oversight chairman, and he's from the state of Kentucky. So yeah, it's funny that she doesn't know the answer to that question. Is there subpoena power? Will you be able to subpoena witnesses? Well, let's listen to that answer again, because I think it's important.
Think that they'd be supportive, being that they're advocating for this, but also I want to remind the American people that this is bipartisan. We would share that information with you. There's been a massive push to keep the American people in the dark, and that ends today.
Do you have subpoena power?
Do you have subpoena power? She looks, she's like, don't know. Do I, Chairman? That's what doesn't give me confidence about this task force. Right there. Like, she should know the answer to that question. That should be one of the first things she asks the chairman. Hey, will I have the power to subpoena? Especially if I think they're lying. I mean, that's important. That's something with teeth, right? All right, so let's see what the chairman has to say.
Chairman?
The task force does not have subpoena power. I do. The task force is going to be.
So the task force does not have subpoena power. I do. So I'll determine whether or not transparency will actually happen. So really, it's just up to one fucking guy. Whether or not you get the answers. Let's see. Let's check out Comer's website here. I'm interested to see. I know there was I would bet almost any amount of money that this guy has a money trail connected to the military industrial complex. I would almost bet on it. And I can't remember the website. Let's see here. I mean, he's a chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Military Academy nominations, grant applications, internships. Let's see, issues, labor, healthcare, military service members and veterans, oversight and reform. Okay, so he's in the agriculture thing. Interesting. But anyway, I'll do some more research on Mr. Comer. But you know, I don't know if James Comer has the interest of the American people. You know, why form a task force if it doesn't have the power to subpoena?
Subsidiary of the full oversight committee. So if we have to issue one, Congresswoman Luna, we'll discuss it and we'll take appropriate action.
But in full transparency, we have a great working relationship, as I stated earlier, with the White House, with the DOJ, with the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of State. The incoming FBI director, I think, will be very supportive, and we've also been told that the CIA director is very supportive. To put it in perspective, I think that this issue transcends not just one administration, but multiple administrations, and it hasn't been until now that we've been able to get people actually in positions of power that will push for transparency. Now, if I
from your lips to God's ear, Representative Luna, I hope it happens. I really do. I really do. But I think when push comes to shove, if the task force doesn't have the subpoena power and it's really up to one person, I think all of that goodwill and all of that rah, yeah, we're for this until we're not. But let's see what happens. Honestly, I'm going to give Rep Luna the benefit of the doubt here and say that she has been a bulldog on this. And I think if she does run into some kind of stonewalling because she can't get the subpoena that she thinks she should have, I think she'll say something about it. I think she will say something about it. And then at that point, we can then look and go, okay, should she have subpoena power in this instance? Is what she's trying to subpoena, does the American public deserve to know? If it's Epstein client list, absolutely. Right? Like, will not hesitate. If it's top secret drone technology, yeah, I don't think the American people have a right to know that. Sorry. Like, they don't. Especially if it's 30, 40 years ahead of what we see today. So, you know, and especially, sorry, just to add one more thing, if that technology can be confused with alien tech. Like, I would want to keep that a secret if I was the military. And you as a citizen should want that kept secret for at least another 20 years or until it's needed, until we absolutely have to use it, which I hope we never will, if it even exists. But anyway, those are like the differences. Those are the things that I would be for a subpoena, not for a subpoena, because we don't deserve to know everything. And we've used, man, I always shout out Jeremy McGowan, but if you've never heard of the Glomar incident, Glomar, go look it up. It happened over almost 50 years ago. We recovered a nuclear submarine, a Russian nuclear submarine, and no one to this day knows how we did it. To this day, sources and methods will always be classified. So if this task force runs into sources and methods, it won't get a subpoena. And I don't know if she'll be able to tell the difference. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But honestly, I love that she's doing this. I don't agree with a lot of her politics and personal views, but I align with this task force. Like, I've got no issue with this task force whatsoever. It's just the people in it aren't the smartest, and we'll get to it in a second. She says some really dumb things here. So we'll get there.
I find that different entities in the various intelligence agencies are stonewalling us. I'm going to make that known to the American people. But as of right now, we are cautiously optimistic.
What's your priority list? Because Epstein, 9/11.
Our first investigation.
What's your priority? Great question. Great question. So what are they going to look into first?
Will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing.
Damn it, I did it again.
State. The incoming FBI director, intelligence.
Sorry, guys.
Are stonewalling us. I'm going to. So again, this is. All right. Able to gain access into was actually faulty in the single. Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
Thank you for doing this. Have you identified the Democrats who will sit on the task force, and could you talk a little bit more about the role of Democrats in this?
Yeah, so again, this is a bipartisan commission. Remember, JFK was a Democrat, RFK was a Democrat, and I'm sure that I think the entire conference has a question on what actually happened with Dr. Martin Luther King, but also UAPs. You guys know that was the big.
She's not answering the question. The question was, what Democrats are on this task force? And she goes into, oh, well, Democrats want to know about this, and this. So it's bipartisan. But yeah, I mean, we read who was on the task force. I didn't see one Democrat on there.
The biggest bipartisan bicameral hearing that we've ever had, I think, in congressional history. I do not know who their members are yet. They've noticed it, but they're taking this very seriously. This is not a conspiracy theory investigating committee. We're actually looking to present truth to the American people. And it's, in my opinion, that no one person elected to office is more important or more qualified to look at the information.
Let's be real. Let's be real here. The reason you're look, I think her motivations for this are wrong. I think she's going into this going, oh my God, we're going to solve JFK. We're going to finally get some answers on this. Instead of thinking of it like this is a golden opportunity for us to win trust and earn trust with the American people. And we're going to do our best and put our best foot forward into getting those answers for you guys. There are no Democrats on this bipartisan task force. I don't think anyone with any sort of political juice is taking this task force very seriously. I mean, they did give her the task force, and it was given to her by the House Oversight Committee. So, again, I'm not sure. Does the House Oversight Committee, is that the I don't. It's not the it's not the Intelligence Committee. It's the House Oversight Committee. So it's not exactly the right committee that we want looking into this, but it is a big committee that just gave some congressional authorities. But again, no subpoena powers. Yeah, I don't know.
Information that they've been hiding from us. And so we look to push for that transparency.
What sort of witnesses will you expect to have at your hearings? I know you said the first one's in March. Would that be department heads, former employees of various agencies?
Would you like to jump in?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, based on what we're actually...
So he's asking, what kind of witnesses do you guys expect to get to these hearings? Are they going to be people who overlook these programs or actually have knowledge of these assassinations? Like, how are we going to get to the bottom? Like, who do you guys plan on bringing forward? And again, she's referring to the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, but she's the chairman of the task force. She should have the answers to this. I don't know why she's sort of leaning on him to give an answer to this. But again, these are the moments that don't give me a lot of confidence.
Actually looking to do with the JFK investigation. I'm looking to actually bring in some of the attending physicians at the initial assassination, and then also people that had been on the various commissions looking into, like the Warren Commission looking into the initial assassinations. There's been conflicting.
So right there, she says she's going to bring in physicians and people who were part of the Warren Commission. All of those people are fucking dead. All of those people are dead. And if they're not dead, fuck, they might as well be. And I don't know if their testimony at this point means anything. But I'm 99.999% sure they're all dead. And so the fact that she doesn't know that, again, gives me no confidence in this committee. And that's valid. So no subpoena power, and a person who doesn't know that she doesn't have any subpoena power, apparently, and there's no real teeth in this task force, and they don't even know the witnesses that they're thinking about bringing forward. So let me get this straight. So you started this task force, got all these people to do this shit for you, and you don't even have a list of witnesses that you want to bring in that are alive? Fuck, dude.
Conflicting evidence, and I think that even the FBI at the time reported some anomalies in the initial autopsy at Bethesda, Maryland. All of those, though, seem to have been rinsed and repeated in the media to push a certain narrative that we don't agree with. And so I think that in order to put to bed some of the theories that have been out there on John F. Kennedy, we have to know the full truth, and the full truth starts with transparency, and that's why these files is so important for the American people to read for themselves.
With this task force, what are you hoping to uncover as far as UAPs that you have not already heard from other UAP hearings?
The biggest information problem.
So the question, what are you hoping to uncover? That was essentially the gist of the question, if you didn't hear it. Again, I apologize for the really low audio there. So I'm trying to fill in those questions for you guys.
That we've had with UAPs is the amount of stonewalling, stovepiping, and also it seems that there is this push to gaslight the American people into looking at the evidence and then not fully believing it. I think for us, if we're writing the budget, for example, into the Pentagon, if we're writing the budget overall.
No. What's going on, Internet? Remember that timestamp, everyone. 9:20. Sorry, guys. Just had a little hiccup here. Video just paused out of nowhere. So now I got to refine the video. There it is. Let's see here. There we go.
Budget, for example, into the Pentagon, if we're writing the budget overall for whatever programs might be out there. Why is it that members of Congress who are given a top secret security clearance are being denied access? That's not a free and true government. And so for us, especially being that we have now a Secretary of State who's actually open to declassification and Marco Rubio, we're hoping to present that information and at least acknowledge it from a government perspective that we are not alone, but also let's see what the evidence is.
Thank you. Have you already been in contact with or started to send requests to these?
I'm sorry, I got to listen to that last part again.
Perspective that we are not alone, but also let's see what the evidence is.
A government perspective that we are not alone, but let's see what the evidence says. I wonder if she's a believer. If I had to guess, I'd say she believes in it.
Thank you. Have you already been in contact with or started to send requests to these different agencies and federal departments for this information?
Yes, in fact, the letters went out this morning, not just
So she's asking if they've been in contact with all the agencies. And yeah, apparently they have.
on RFK, JFK, and MLK, but on everything that I had listed above to include UAPs, Epstein, and 9/11 and COVID, to the State Department, Department of Defense, CIA, and then also we'll be sending some to the FBI, and letters have also gone out to the NSA.
How is this going to be different than the House Select Committee on Assassinations, which investigated both the John F. Kennedy assassination and the King assassination?
Well, what's interesting on that specific committee is
Honestly, I didn't really hear that question, but I think they're asking something about JFK. Sorry, it's even mumbled for me, and I've got my audio bumped up as high as possible. So,
is what, to my understanding, when they actually brought in expert witnesses, they weren't actually people that were in attendance to the initial autopsy at Bethesda. But also, this is a bigger committee than just the JFK assassinations. We're also expanding into Epstein, COVID origins, 9/11s, and then UAPs and USOs. And so before,
did she just pluralize 9/11s? And Epstein's client lists? I have a feeling it's more than one list.
initially had some of these hearings, this is going to be an encompassing committee that's going to work directly with the White House on information that they're declassifying.
Just to be clear,
Yeah.
you mentioned the Warren, that there's the Warren Committee, but also the Select.
Correct. Correct. There's actually 3 different government investigations into the JFK assassination. But again, this committee is expanding not just there, but outwards into other fields. And again, we're working directly with the White House. In previous investigations, they didn't have access to the information that we are going to have access to. And so that's a big deal, especially if you're looking at what truly happened with JFK.
Are you going to get a top secret clearance?
I already have a top secret clearance. All members,
She has a top secret clearance, but she does not have a clearance to get into a skiff. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. She's right. All members of Congress have a top secret clearance.
all members of Congress have a TSCI. The question is do we get SAP access, of which Chairman Comer has been very supportive and will be getting SAP access.
Special access programs, in case you don't know what a SAP is. So to get access to a SAP, you have to get access to a SCIF, a secret compartmentalized information for whatever. A room where nothing is connected and top secret information can be discussed safely. That's what a SCIF is. And to get into a SCIF, you have to sit on certain committees, like the Senate Intelligence Committee, for example. They have the power to subpoena, and they also have the power to get into a SCIF and listen to the highest classified information in the nation. She is nowhere near that kind of classification. And when she bumps into that, her lack of clearance is what's going to stop this. And Comer does not sit on the appropriate committee. He's not the chairman of the committee that you need to be the chairman of. The House Oversight Committee doesn't have the juice to get into a SCIF and listen to those top secrets. They don't. Intelligence Committee does. But no one from those committees is doing the task force. I wonder why.
Access as well. Okay, 2 more and then we're going to wrap it up.
2 more questions. 2 more questions? So that's probably like 6, 7 questions. Like, if this was the greatest secret in the world, if this was a task force that everybody was insanely excited about, there would be hundreds of questions. There, you'd hear cameras clicking every 3 seconds. I don't think people have a lot of, at least people in the know, journalists, not staffers, but staffers. Like, nobody's crazy excited about this. That's why we only got a handful of questions. I mean, you figured this would, oh my God, we're going to get the answers on JFK, Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy, COVID-19, the Epstein client list, and UFOs. Fuck, like, this should be the biggest task force on the planet. And again, it's the same thing for these whistleblowers. Like, they're coming in with no juice. They're coming in with no buzz. They don't have a team of PR people behind them, making sure that they answer the question perfectly. It's just, there's no buzz on it, man. There's no excitement. I don't know, man. My expectations are super low. And so if anything does come out of it, then hell, it'll exceed my expectations and it'll be fun to talk about and it'll be exciting. But don't be shocked. Okay. Don't be shocked if John F. Kennedy was actually killed by just one guy. And same thing for Robert F. Kennedy and MLK. Like, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if COVID-19 was just a massive fuck up on all levels, from the media, from the government, from the president, from health organizations. Like, it was just an overblown nightmare. If you get that answer, don't be disappointed. And when it comes to UFOs, it's mostly top secret tech and adversarial drones. Don't be upset. If that's what the truth is, and you think this task force is the bee's knees, then when they come out with the information, that means you have to accept it, right? No matter what it says. And I think the reason why Donald Trump, President Trump, has the confidence to let a task force like this even get his blessing, which he did, is because I think he knows the truth about UFOs. And he's just not able to talk about it because it's a classified thing. As president, he cannot talk about it. But he knows that the drones in Jersey were testing. Like, that was the NSA and NASA and all sorts of agencies running a massive test. Because guess what, guys? Drone traffic is coming. It's going to be a thing that you're going to start seeing, especially in major metropolitan areas. Drone deliveries, food deliveries, simple weird shit. You're going to start seeing a lot of drones, security drones, all sorts of stuff. Seeing things, and they want you to get used to the idea of seeing things in the sky. And they're also testing top secret defense things with these drone systems. So our drone systems knows what's drone systems should be there versus what shouldn't be there. Because there's going to be a lot of traffic in the sky. And they're running those systems now. And that's what that entire New Jersey flap was. Oh, and by the way, that whole thing in Congress about the whole New Jersey drone attack, they got their funding. So the Border Patrol and these state agencies got their funding to look at drones more, all while this mysterious drone flap had just happened and people were demanding answers. Isn't that weird? Isn't that funny? Gee, I wonder who pointed that out back in December. Yeah, that's right. It was fucking me. like, holy shit. We've been talking about this stuff. We say it, it's, I just love when people are shocked. They find out, 3 months later, oh my God, this thing, yeah, fuck, dude, you didn't catch that the first time 3 months ago? Anyway.
Obviously, some of the questions on some of these topics, whether it's Jeffrey Epstein or COVID-19, the questions are obvious. What specifically, though, are the questions you're looking to get answered with regards to September 11th?
We just want the truth. How much did the CIA know in advance? But also remember, when you have only certain information that's shared with the American people, that's when conspiracy theories happen. And it's in my opinion that conspiracy theories can be detrimental.
So they're asking about 9/11 specifically. Like, what do you think you're going to get out of 9/11? And so she's answering the question.
It doesn't mean that in the last couple of months we haven't been right on a few things. But what I will say is I think that we deserve to give this information to the American people. I don't agree with the stonewalling that's occurred. And also, how do we prevent things like it from happening in the future? And we have to know the full picture, and the American people deserve to know that as well.
Can we expect any collaboration with the Department of Government Efficiency?
Can we expect any collaboration with Doge? Even this kind of gives a smirk on her face. Why? Like, what? I love how these guys, this is just the stupidity of it. Too much government. There's too much government spending. We need to cut back. What do? Let's add another fucking department of government. Okay. Okay. It's like the solution to gun violence is more guns. Like, okay. Yeah, all right. If that's what you really think, all right, go for it. Go for it.
I don't know what information Doge would have, but I would encourage them if they have anything on JFK, Epstein, or anything in between that they bring it to our office immediately. Okay, one more and then we'll wrap it up. Of course.
Oh, she's got a question for Comer.
Well, we have a lot of questions. Some of the people in the mayor's administrations have been vocal that they weren't going to comply with federal law.
This is so funny. Like, this journalist seriously does not give a fuck so much that she's asking a question about sanctuary cities to the House Oversight Chairman. I don't want to talk about this bullshit anymore. Can you answer a real world question? That's embarrassing. That is fucking embarrassing. That's the last question that you took at your game-changing transparency presser. Okay. Okay. We'll see. You've got my blessing. I wish you all the luck in the world. But I'm sure this is taxpayer money being spent on this. And if nothing comes of it, can I get my money back? Can we all get our money back if that's the case? How much? Ah, man. What was the budget for this task force? Will Doge be looking at this task force as a government waste? Who knows?
That they were going to continue to act as sanctuary cities. We want to know about coordination and communication they had between the previous administration. How did so many of these illegals get there? Who was paying for it? Who were they communicating with to be able to provide housing and so many other benefits to such a large population of people? Just the basic questions we all have. Who was paying for it? Who was leading the efforts to transport the illegals from wherever their entry point was in the United States to these sanctuary cities? And are the mayors going to comply with federal law now? Are they going to work with Tom Homan and the
no more sanctuary cities, y'all?
Security groups in the Trump administration to try to deport the criminal illegals and stop being a sanctuary city?
You feel less worried about Eric Adams himself considering his signal?
Worried about what?
Do we feel less worried about Eric Adams?
Eric Adams, I mean, you know, he was one of the first mayors to bring up the, he would, other three.
Can I ask you about your relationship with whistleblowers? Is it going to be the normal process that oversight typically does, or would this be, are you going to
Oh, you got one more UAP question in there. That's good.
create a separate avenue for the task force?
I mean, we're all about the normal process, but look, if you have information and it's credible, we've always approached it in that I'd like to be the person that does the interviews for it, mainly because, especially with stuff like this, we want to make sure that there's, you know, not bad actors that are pushing false information to create a narrative that's simply not there. And so, you know, every whistleblower that does come forward, as of right now, there's people that have been publicly out there, for example, on the JFK stuff, that were actually present in the room at the operating room where he was actually brought to right after the shooting. So we hope to bring those people in to testify. And again, these hearings will be open to the public. I am also expanding this to the entire conference. So if someone's going to take this seriously and look at it through an investigative lens and get answers for the American people, they are welcome to ask questions of the witnesses, and you guys will all receive notice of that.
And we'll work with
How's that gonna work? Okay. Okay. If you say so.
anyone who currently works for the federal government that wants to declare whistleblower status and receive whistleblower protection, if that's what they're interested in doing. And I
Oh, yeah. I hate that it does that. I hate
present in the
Twitter.
room at the
if
Hate
that's
Twitter.
what they're interested in doing, and I don't think they're going to face the type of retaliation that the previous administration gave whistleblowers, particularly the IRS whistleblowers that blew the whistle on them.
So, yeah, I mean, again, and we've said this many, many times on this show, there's never been a better time in American history to be a whistleblower. Never been a safer time. Right now, especially. Like, if you are part of a UFO legacy program, if you've worked on the alien spaceship, if you've helped reverse engineer it, and you can prove it with pay stubs and badges and files or pieces of the craft or technology or the places where they're kept, the companies that are working for them, the people that oversee the programs or who are overseeing you. There's so many things that you can whistleblow in a safe way to get the American people the truth on alien spaceships. Right now, never been a better time. So if you're that guy or gal, please do us all the fucking favor and come forward. I mean, you will be forevermore the most popular person to maybe ever live. You're the person who gets to bring transparency to the planet with evidence, proof, stone cold proof. You'll be on 60 Minutes. You'll have a PR team. There'll be movies made about you. You'll be on everyone's wish list to talk to forever. There's no better time. I would love to meet that guy. I'd love to talk to that person. But I will put anything that person doesn't exist. I'd put anything on it. There is no reverse engineering program. Never has been, never will be. At least reverse engineering alien program. Reverse engineering alien tech. That will never happen. Look at this. Little spit bubble. Sorry about that. Sorry. Why am I apologizing to you? Okay. Let's hear the last bits of this.
Cover up of the Biden family.
And I'd also like to close with this. If you are an independent investigator, we are being told that the FBI has now located thousands of pages of documents that they lost before, specifically relating to JFK. We are going to get through as much as we can. We have a great team of attorneys. We have a great team of investigators looking into this, but it doesn't mean that we won't accept help from the public. And so we will be setting up a place for collection for people to present information. But again, this is about transparency.
Who's going to go through that? Who's paying for this? Who's paying for those lawyers that are going through that? All of those files. Who's doing that? And who's writing the fucking check? Department of Government Efficiency, my ass. My fucking ass, dude.
The government works for us. There have been people, I think, in power for too long that try to silo us and keep us in the dark, but that stops today. You're seeing that same message come out of the White House, out of the CIA, the FBI, and every other agency in between. So we are very happy to have the support of all of those individuals, happy to have the support of Chairman Comer and Speaker Johnson. And if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Oversight Comms, and we'd be happy to answer those at that time. Thank you, guys.
And that's it. That is it on that presser. And then she had this, you know, she's she also did this.
The Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets has been organized under the House Oversight Committee and represents a historic step towards transparency and delivering answers to the American people. President Trump has already taken steps to deliver to the American people information that for far too long has been kept under the federal government's lock and key through classification. Under Executive Order 1417-6, President Trump has directed...
Never trust videos with spooky music. And that goes for this too. I've got a link to this.
Regarding the
We've got to read it.
declassification of records regarding the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. The task force will also examine agencies' knowledge and possession of documents regarding other areas of significant public interest, including UAPs, the origins of COVID-19, the Epstein client list, and details surrounding the death of Osama bin Laden in Operation Neptune Spear. Our first...
What are people yearning to know about the Osama bin Laden death? Like, SEAL team went in there and fucking killed him. Like, what is the deal, dude? And also, as we're watching this again, like, sometimes I'm watching this for the first time, sometimes I'm watching it for a second time. I was thinking, this is a production. They paid to produce this. She's sitting down in a chair. Look at the way she's presenting this. This was shot. It was edited for her. The spooky music was added. The follow along closed caption was added. It was shot in a, TikTok format, this, 16 by 9 or 9 by 16 framing. Like, this is all people doing this for her. This is our taxpayers' dollars at work right here. This is what your money is going toward. If you're okay with that, all right.
Knowledge and possession of documents regarding other areas of significant public Kennedy. We have already engaged with relevant agencies to provide briefings this month regarding the universe of documents connected to these areas of interest. Upon receiving these briefings, we'll move immediately to review documents and, if necessary, earmark them for release to the American people. The task force will travel as necessary to conduct research and meet with relevant witnesses and experts who may also be called to speak in a public setting. We will work closely with the committee to provide transparency through hearings, reports, and the release of documents. It's important to note that we don't have documents yet, and we also don't hold declassification authority. The task force seeks to operate with coordination with the administration to ensure that the American people receive the documents needed to answer questions that we have been all asking for far too long. We will regain the trust of the American people through transparency.
Okay. Yay. Now there's gotta be... Where is... Where is the rest of this? Why doesn't she include the link to what this I know somebody released it. I think it was D. Dean. Good old D. Dean Johnson. Give me a moment, guys. I thought I bookmarked it. Do. All right, so UAP. Oh wow, no, this is a whole different. That's a whole nother different ego, maniacal thing. Is this it? Site joint hearing. November 13th, 2024. Yes, there was. Okay, this is a completely different thing that we'll talk about here in a moment. Let's see if we can get. Yeah, okay, why? I don't understand why they don't have a link to. There was something. Can't remember who the hell shared it. But let me see if I can find it real quick. Give me a second, guys. All right, here we go. Chairman Comer taps Luna to lead task force of declassification. So, all right, let me look one more place. This. I got that one. Here we go. All right, I think I found it finally. Okay. Congress of the United States House of Representatives Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. The Honorable Pete Hegseth. Dear Secretary Hegseth, the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform and the Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets are conducting oversight on declassification of certain records in the public interest. After the Biden administration and its allies weaponized the intelligence community and law enforcement against its political opponents, it is vital that we restore trust in these institutions. We write to assist President Donald J. Trump's efforts to provide truth and transparency to the American people. On January 23rd, President Trump signed Executive Order 14176, declassification of records concerning the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Through this executive order, President Trump took first steps to shed light on the events that had been clouded by opacity and shrouded from the public under the guise of classification. Declassification and public release will provide Americans necessary clarity into their own history. We applaud this endeavor and work of lifting the veil on America's secrets must continue. To that end, we request a briefing as soon as possible, but no later than February 18th, 2025, regarding what documents, if any, are in your possession regarding the existence of unidentified anomalous phenomena. This briefing should be specific and identify all categories of documents, classified or otherwise, in your custody and control. After the briefing, the committee and task force shall seek to review these documents and make recommendations on declassification to ensure the applicable orders and laws are being implemented and delivered transparency to the American people. The committee on the task force look forward to engaging you in further this important historic work. If you have any questions, please contact the House Oversight Committee at any time under House Rule X, further pursuant of House Committee. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, thank you for attention on this important. And this is James Comer, signed by James Comer and Anna Paulina Luna. And there was, man. Okay, so yeah, I thought there was something here that Dean had put up that breaks down essentially what the task force is essentially what they're allowed to do, not allowed to do, and how much funding I thought it only had 6 months to get all of these hearings done and over with, and then in 6 months kind of revisit to see, okay, what has the committee found? Is this worth continuing? Did we get all the answers we want, or do we need to sort of revisit some of the things that we got? So I thought, I could have sworn there was that. Okay, but so that's the whole transparency committee, and since we're on D.D. Johnson's page, this was very interesting. So there were 6 questions that Congressman Eric Burleson submitted. 11 questions. This is amazing. Okay, so this was great. Mr. Michael Gold. Let's see here. Question 1. Okay, so Chairman 1 does Glenn Groffman. So this is Glenn. Okay, this is Luis Elizondo. Okay, yeah, this is okay. So these are the questions that were asked of Luis Elizondo. Let's see. Let's get the whole thing. Let's get the whole thing, shall we? Here we go. All right. Questions for Mr. Elizondo. So these were submitted. Enclosed are post-hearing questions that have been directed to your attention and submitted to the official record for the Subcommittee on Cybersecurity, Information Technology, and Government Innovation and the Subcommittee of National Security, the Border, and Foreign Affairs. Okay, so these are questions that were out of the public eye, not in front of camera, in a private setting. Okay, these are questions for Mr. Luis Elizondo, and they come from Eric Burleson. These are written questions, okay? Question number 1. Does any branch of the United States government or defense contractors, aerospace and otherwise, possess technology derived from a non-human source? Question 2. Does any branch of the United States... Where are the answers? I thought we had answers here. Where are my answers, by golly? Why do I not have the answers? Let's see. We got Schellenberger. Let's see. Do we have... Yeah, all these questions. Where the fuck are the answers? We had the answers. Where did they go? Where did they go, Dean Dean? Did I bookmark them? This is what happens when you don't do a show in a while. I bookmarked that. Task Force. How did I not bookmark these things? Ay, ay, ay. Hmm. 2 seconds. God, Gary Nolan. Dude, Gary Nolan is so damn funny, man. That dude is absolute maniac. Doobie doobie da. Todd McMurray. Jimmy Butler pooping his pants. News Nation, dude. There's just so many things here, man. A lot of things happened in the last couple weeks, guys. Dude, I did not do a great job of bookmarking stuff. Yeah, that was the last show I did, so that wasn't that. I am funny as I'm reading through my text here. I am unable to answer. God. I mean, there's the quote. There's the quote from it to one of Eric Burleson's questions. Let me pull up the question that this is the quote from. Okay, so can you confirm that I haven't... Okay, so the question was, how was it determined that Lockheed Martin had such non-human technology to begin with? If so, how was it confirmed by Lockheed Martin? To which Lou Elizondo replies, I am unable to answer this question due to the lack of direct knowledge. That was his answer to the written. And again, like we've been saying this, dude, none of these guys have direct knowledge of anything that of any of the claims that goes from Tim Gallaudet, that goes for Lou Elizondo, that goes for David Grush, that goes for Jake Barber. None of these guys had hands-on, eyes-on alien tech. None of them. Straight up. And yeah, none of them can prove it. It's really, really simple. Oh my gosh, dude. I tell you, okay, here's one thing I wanted to talk about real quick. I know this is kind of off topic, but these new memes are kind of reminding me of this. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan and friend of Cosmic Judas, and in the last few weeks, both of his accounts have been taken down. we've worked as hard as we could behind the scenes to try and get those accounts reinstated. It's honestly, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody get thrown off of Twitter for being a real person and making memes. It's kind of weird. I heard that King Milkfart was taking credit for this. Maybe it was King Milkfart. I mean, you know, wouldn't shock me. It's, you know, if you can't, they've got no good responses to the memes because the memes cut straight to their belief bones and the memes cut right through the bullshit. I can tell you right now, we will see Cosmic Judas again in one form or another. He will be back. I guarantee it. But yeah, it's just funny how Twitter works. It really, really is. It makes no sense how someone who's defamed people, who's made up lies about people, who's harassed people, who's threatened people, who's been kicked off of Twitter more than I can count on both of my hands. How many times he's been thrown off of Twitter for inappropriate things. And this guy still has an account. I don't know how that works, but it is what it is. But there is a really great, the beautiful thing about Cosmic Judas is he's inspired so many other people to make memes about the UFO subculture. And they're spot on. And this is, I want to introduce the world to Secret Core. Secret _core. CORP. Corp. Secret Corp. I will never say they're better than Cosmic Judas. Cosmic Judas is king. He is literally the Messiah. But this one, he's pretty good. Damn close. And this is one of the memes that they made. I hope I don't get a copyright for this one, but if we do, so be it. Who cares? I'm not making money on these videos anyway.
Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography, telekinetic movement, full trance mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis?
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
I mean, that's honestly beautiful. It's beautiful. It's, again, cuts right to the belief bone. They're taking a very popular movie, you know, Annie Potts, who, by the way, I've worked with. Annie Potts, she's such a sweet lady. And I did an episode of Sheldon. Sheldon? Is it Sheldon? That's the name of the show? Yeah, Sheldon. She's such a sweetheart. Her and Craig T. Nelson. Craig T. just smoking packs of cigarettes between each scene. It's hilarious. But yeah, anyway, she's, you know, she's interviewing the veteran for the job. She's the CIA handler. And then we get to, she's interviewing the veteran. Lady, if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe whatever the fuck you tell me, you know? And that's Jake Barber. That's Dave Grush. That's Lou Elizondo. That's, name it. I mean, Ryan Graves. Oh my God. I saw such an interesting thing with Ryan Graves the other day. It was a question by Chrissy Newton, of all people. Damn, what a propagandist she is. But she asked him a question about, you know, I don't even want to get into it, but the answer was just so fucking like, basically, I haven't seen anything. That's a hard answer it's a hard question to answer because I don't lack the experience you want for me to answer this question. So it's amazing. So damn funny, dude. So yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed or followed at Secret Corp, please do, because they're filling the void of our buddy Judas. And honestly, Judas has just been, I'll give you the update. He's just been in limbo, kind of waiting to see what the process at the very end of it happens. What happens? He thought he was suspended for a couple days, then it was 2 weeks, and now it's longer. And there's not a lot of clarity as far as if and when he gets those accounts back, and even if he does, will he have like full access to them like he used to? It's honestly the strangest thing I've seen. So if there's anybody out there who works at Twitter or knows anybody at Twitter that can help us with this issue, we would love any help that we can get. I wasn't going to ask publicly, but why not? I mean, we've got 100 people watching. Who knows? 6 degrees of separation. If anybody knows out, this account shouldn't be suspended. There was never any hateful subjects. He was a real person who controls the accounts. There's no reason whatsoever these accounts shouldn't be public and open and available for him to use. And so, yeah, if anybody out there can help, please hit me up on Twitter at Lou Angeles. You can DM me there, or whatever. Yeah. However you can get in touch with me, my email's in the description below. So if you want to email me. Yeah, we appreciate any help we can get. With that said, let's go back to my bookmarks. How many? We got a half hour. What do we talk about? So this was very interesting. I have to talk about this. So Space Force General explicitly says foreign adversaries are indeed flying drones over the continental United States. General Michael Gutling says adversaries like China and Russia have become emboldened, and the new normal is to fly UAVs over the continental United States. Again, this is nothing new here. We've been saying this forever. And when you get this guy saying, yeah, there's aliens visiting our atmosphere, that's when I'll perk up and pay attention. But we don't have a guy of this significance saying that, not even remotely saying that. And anyone that is remotely close to a fucking, what is that? Is that a 4-star general or 4-star general? Okay. Nothing close to a 4-star general has come out and said anything remotely close to this. But let's listen to what this 4-star general has to say, because this is, again, very interesting.
We're seeing a new steady state set of behaviors that we haven't seen in the past.
Why is this so low for you guys? Again, I'm going to bump up the dBs here, you guys. Give me a second, because I want everybody to hear this.
The past. The adversary has become very emboldened to mess with our space capabilities. They've become very capable, and they've become very intent on their ability to deny our ability to use space. A couple years ago, there was a gentleman's agreement. You didn't mess with each other's space systems. Just flat out didn't. Today, it is the norm. It is a normal behavior to jam GPS, to spoof GPS, to jam SATCOM, to cyber attack, to fly UAVs over CONUS. That new behavior, that new norm of behavior is very unsafe and unprofessional, and it could cause major strategic problems if we don't rapidly get after it. We're seeing.
Again, this is something that we've said a lot. He doesn't talk about non-human intelligence. He doesn't talk about aliens. He doesn't talk about any of that shit, because that shit is not a real world issue for him. They don't give a shit about that stuff. And when they do get the answers on the things that are unexplainable, it turns out to be Chinese and Russian spy ships and drones. You know, they're using them to disrupt GPS. They're using them to disrupt our infrastructure. And again, it doesn't take much for the next step of that to be, let's strap explosives to these drones. Let's cause some real fucking chaos. Let's hit the biggest shipping port in the continental United States in Los Angeles, in Long Beach. You know, like it would not take much to get this nation to a crawl when it comes to our infrastructure. Honestly, it wouldn't take much. It's a set of dominoes, and it's just waiting for the first domino to fall over, and the proof is in the pudding. For me, it's, the fires that we just had, like that fire, the amount of chaos that it caused for the infrastructure was incredibly underestimated and not talked about at all. Like when there is big emergencies, it's going to be hell to travel and get places. Especially if it's a natural disaster or some kind of terrorist attack that brings cities to an absolute crawl, whether that be taking out bridges, points of interest, whether that be nuclear facilities, aqueducts, tourist attractions. Like we've talked about this stuff ad nauseum, and it's a real threat. It's a real problem. It's just one thing I want to talk about, but I want to take it off the screen, because it's just, these are the things that we discuss all the time. And I'm not going to name this person. I'm not going to out them on my show. But this is the stuff that I came across all the time when I was trying to get on the same level as experiencers and believers as a whole. And this is something that comes up all the time. And I wanted to read it to you guys because I just looked at it and I said, damn, man, it's like the answer is staring them right in the face and they're just ignoring it. But and this is a pretty prominent voice in the UFO community. And the post says, today I turned 39. I grew up in a world of parental addiction, instability, and struggle, a path many don't escape from, but I did. Like St. Valentine, who stood against the odds, I refuse to be bound by my past. We are not our circumstances. We are what we choose to become. Happy Valentine's Day. Let love lead. A beautiful message. I totally relate to that. I couldn't imagine. I've never been in that situation where my parents had addictions. Well, yeah. Maybe not. My dad had a little bit of an addiction to alcohol, but it was never, it never manifested itself into an abusive place, at least not from my memory. So I don't really count it as that. It was more like post-divorce, on his own, living a wild man life that crept up on him as an issue, but it's an issue he's taken care of. But as a child, I could not imagine growing up in that, how much trauma, how much instability, how much moving around. And this is a huge voice in the pro UFO disclosure movement. And I bring it up, not to knock it or say, hey, people aren't allowed to be vulnerable. But when they are vulnerable, when you do get to see a little window into the average experiencer, this is what you'll find. 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, like almost every time, when you dig to the core of every ardent believer, no matter what medicine, no matter what health journals, no matter what books you put in front of them, and research that has been done ad nauseum to explain the abduction phenomenon, to explain waking up with marks on yourself, to explain everything that is not unique to the human condition. And it's not unique because there's journals of medicine written about them. And you can find them. The link to those journals and those books are in the description below. They're in the description of every show we do. And they will completely ignore that. And they will attach themselves, their personality, everything about themselves to this belief. And You've been in this long enough and you see what trauma, childhood trauma can do to people, what war trauma can do to people, what physical trauma can do to people. There's a lot of trauma in the UFO community, a lot of loneliness. Again, these are things that I talk about all the time, and I want to make my audience aware of them, because maybe you're in that vicious cycle. Maybe you're trying to find a way out. We've got links to help you with that. If you're genuinely trying to find answers, there are ways to get help. And the help that you seek is not in the community of a batshit crazy subculture like UFOs. You will not find answers here. Zero. You will not get any. You might find connection. You might find camaraderie. But at some point, that connection and camaraderie will show its ugly face. Because it doesn't last long, especially when you run into people that either ardently don't believe you or believe something, a different version of what you believe. So anyway, I saw that. I had to take a moment to kind of just talk about it and point it out, because it's just a reminder. It really, really is. As far as like, you know, what is at the core of this discussion. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about that. What else? We got 20 minutes. Okay, so two or three more things. Let's see if I can squeeze them in here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this first clip is Chris Hadfield, who is a former astronaut. This is one of our best voices in the scientific community. He does a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews, and again, we've talked about this a little bit, but this asteroid that's going to be making 2 passes by the Earth, one in 2027 and one in 2032, and the chances again are just over 1%. I think it's a 1.7%. And it's captured the attention of NASA. This thing is going to be really close. And I'm curious to know, because now they're really starting to take a look at it and take it a lot more seriously. And you'll hear what Chris Hadfield has to say here in this clip. You know, it's something that we genuinely need to start thinking about, and we've already tested system. There was the DART system that was launched, I believe, almost 2 years ago at this point, where we redirected an asteroid, and so we can actually redirect them. It was successful, but it's just, is that applicable to bigger asteroids? And what if they're closer to, you know, I don't know. It's not foolproof. That is for sure. And asteroids are still a huge concern. And the ability to launch these countermeasures, like how quickly can you do? There's so much that goes into it. But I know that this is something that is really starting to capture the attention of science, and I'm here for it. I'm kind of interested in it, because, you know, Michio Kaku talks about the Kardashev scale. It goes from 0, I believe, to 4. And one of the abilities of a Type 1 civilization is the ability to redirect asteroids, you know, basically create a system in which we can ensure that our planet's safe from any foreign objects destroying it. You know, like that is part of one of the characteristics of a Type 1 civilization. So the fact that we're kind of like discussing it, we're testing it, and you know, there might be some real world applications for it here in the next 7 years is terrifying, but also exciting. But let's listen to what Hadfield has to say.
Think of the destruction we wrought.
Ooh, now that is way loud for you guys.
On each other in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Think of the destruction we wrought on each other in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This is 500 times more powerful than that, just because of the energy of it coming through the atmosphere, causing shock waves, and because of the heating, exploding. So it's like a grenade. A grenade is no bigger than your fist, but it can do damage over a wide area. This is a grenade that's 60 meters across.
Damn,
Think of the
60 meters. That's let's see, it's 180 feet. No, it's a little over half the size of a football field. 60 meters? Yeah, 60 yards. It's huge. And an impact 500 times the size of Hiroshima. They've outlined the possible impact zones for this asteroid. And good news, it's not anywhere, well, it could be, I guess, depending on where it lands, but it's well south of the equator from what my memory of it. But again, like, if that asteroid hits on the other side of the planet, I have a feeling there are going to be real world effects on the other side. Everyone's going to suffer from something, a cataclysm like that. It would halt everything. It might even end everything. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But 500 times the size of Hiroshima. I'm pretty sure we have nuclear bombs that can do that kind of damage. But again, I think if anything, it's a opportunity for the world, for world leaders and governments and countries to sort of come together and really create a solution for something, because it's in everyone's best interest to stop something like this, or develop technology that that everyone can share. So this was incredible. I'm not going to play this whole clip because we don't have time to go through the whole 5-minute, 32-second clip. We've only got about 14 minutes left. And you know me, I love to stop everything and talk about it. But this is Ross Coulthart making huge fucking claims again from these Australian scientists. He explains this whole, it's like it says here, an Australian skinwalker ranch, and that these scientists see orbs and rods at the Australian skinwalker ranch. Rods are an old thing that were fucking pushed in the 90s and early 2000s, and they were insects on film. And the degradation of uploading videos to the internet makes it look like a flying rod. And this shit has been debunked. This is old bullshit. And here's another News Nation special report of these scientists. By the way, no other scientists want anything to do with these two dickheads. And the only journalist on the planet that is ready and willing to report this shit is Ross Coulthart. Well, let's see what he has to say. Again, let me put fair use on this one, because this is transformative work. We are educating the public on the video that we're sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. But we're also mocking this. So let's listen to this. And this is shared by Stephen Greenstreet. He says he writes, "This is extremely embarrassing for News Nation, Ross Coulthart, UFO believers, and everyone involved." And he hits up Alex DeLarge. I wonder why. Oh, probably because he's the one who originally shared it. But anyway, let's check it out.
And the Aboriginal people have talked about these objects for thousands of years. They call them spirits, spirit people. And essentially they are very, very similar.
There they go.
Dr. Morgan and his colleague have
So
published.
here we see them. They're orbs. And they look like security camera footage. And the date on this is 9/9/2022. So this shit is already 4 years old. It's 4 years old, this footage. 4 years old. Okay. That's red flag.
Published a paper which explores this idea. They're very, very similar to lights that have been recorded across the United States at various Air Force bases.
These are bugs. That's a bug. Okay. Again, the orbs and rod in desert. These are the rods they're talking about.
Been
and because the video is low quality security camera, okay, and when you upload it to the internet, it's going to add even more distortion to it. And this is a fucking bug. This is a bug. This is a bug. These are all bugs.
Air Force bases where
these are all fucking bugs. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
Been anomalous,
and I don't know how much longer,
particularly other areas where there are nuclear weapons. And it's not a
News Nation is going to let him do this shit.
This area of the Karajini Desert is very close to a major Australian base that's part of the US national deterrence. It's where communications are made.
These are fucking, they even have the flight paths of bugs. They move like bugs.
With US nuclear attack submarines in the Indian Ocean. It's called the Harold E. Holt Naval Communications Station. So maybe, just maybe, this phenomenon is
drawn to areas that are kind of close to a naval facility. What a dickhead.
Areas of national security interest. We just don't know.
We just don't know. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're pushing fucking bugs on national television. Yeah, you know exactly what's going on. You implied that eggs were being alien-shaped alien spacecraft are being recovered by mentally deficient veterans that are gay and left-handed. Unreal.
Morgan and his colleague are doing much more rigorous investigations to try and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Dr. Morgan wrote a research paper on these orders.
Oh, he wrote a research paper.
Accepted by the scientific community. Is that?
He wrote a research paper that wasn't accepted by the scientific community. Gee whiz, I wonder why. Why? What fucking editor said, yeah, let's run this story? This is passing the sniff test.
Is that right?
There's a lot of dogmatic resistance in conventional science.
It's dogmatic resistance. It's science's fault. Yeah, science doesn't want anything to do with aliens visiting our planet. Proof of that. They want nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. It's a dogmatic scientist. It's not the shitty security footage from 4 fucking years ago. Okay, the degraded, shitty video footage of bugs. It's not dogmatic resistance. It's fucking stupid and not worthy of scientific fucking anything, let alone study. Science doesn't even want to piss on this. That's how bad it is. That's how fucking bad it is. And real quick, just a friendly fucking reminder.
Let's take a trip down memory.
Plenty of time to play this fucking video, because this video, well, this is Ross Coulthart's colleague having to retract Ross Coulthart's reporting.
Memory lane to examine this 60 Minutes special investigation from July 2015.
Britain's biggest ever scandal is about to explode.
In late 2014, a man known only as Nick sparked an ill-fated investigation by London's Metropolitan Police into claims of torture, child abuse and murder by high-ranking British politicians.
They and I believe what Nick is saying is to be credible and to be true.
The police investigation later fell apart. No charges were ever brought. And then, earlier this month, came this news.
Nick nicked. A man who falsely claimed he had been raped and tortured as a boy by a VIP pedophile ring is to face trial for child sex offences. Allegations by Nick against bigwigs Sir Ted Heath, Leon Britton, Harvey Proctor and Lord Bramall sparked a £3 million witch hunt by police.
Even more significantly, Nick may also face charges of fraud and perversion of the course of justice.
Prosecutors are considering whether he should be charged for allegedly lying about being abused as a child and then fraudulently claiming compensation for the ordeal.
So, what's that to us? Well,
here's the embarrassing part. Here's the part that we really didn't want to do, but we have to, because issuing corrections is, well, the right thing to do. I wonder who reported on this. I wonder who told tall tales of torture and child abuse and rapa. All those words that you can't say for some reason. I don't know why you can't say those words. I don't get it. I can understand if like you're advocating for those things, but if you're talking about what people did, I don't. Anyway, whatever. Why is this important? Why? I wonder who reported and made all of these false allegations. Well, go on.
Well, without Nick, Australia might never have been treated to that 60-minute special. Earlier this month came this news. Nick may also face charges of abuses to that 60-minute special investigation, in which the programme's then new star, 5-time Walkley Award winner Ross Coulthart, made this extravagant promise.
Without question, the biggest political scandal Britain has ever faced will be exposed tonight. It involves a secret network of the highest office holders in the land, past and current members of Parliament, cabinet ministers, judges, diplomats, even one of the country's top spies. These men are accused of some of the most sadistic child sexual abuse imaginable on hundreds of victims, some as young as 8.
Hundreds of victims.
Nick was not interviewed on 60 Minutes, but his evidence provided vital support for that remarkable claim. Tonight,
his evidence, but tonight, yes, go on.
We're going to examine that 60-minute story, which reported astonishing allegations with very little skepticism or doubt.
So all of those allegations, all of that reporting was done with very little skepticism and very little doubt. So going back to, and that's Ross Coulthart. They let him, they didn't fire him for this, but they did not renew his fucking contract. And the way that he talks about him here, that is our new star. He was like he was going to be a big deal here. He had won 5 walkies. He's on the Australian 60 Minutes
investigation, in which the programme's then new star, 5-time Walkley Award winner Ross Coulthart, made this extravagant promise.
Extravagant promises. Gee, I wonder where else does he do this? If he can't get the story of children being abused, torture, murder, if he can't get those things right, why in God's fucking green earth would you think this asshole would get UFOs right? In what world? And this is what I was referring to when I asked Bryce Zabel, and I told Bryce Zabel, Ross's reporting is shit. It's unreliable. He got fired for it. He got let go. He was not renewed. And so what did he do? He went fucking headfirst into a topic that doesn't care what allegations and promises you make. The UFO community. He's written books. He's got audio books. He's been on TV shows. He's got a brand new contract with News Nation. He is their leading voice on the UFO non-human intelligence story. Bullshit LARP. It's disgusting. And fuck Ross Coulthart. Fuck you, Ross Coulthart. You suck. You fucking suck. And if you follow him, if you work for him, if you're friends with him, fuck you too. Straight up. Fuck you too. So let's end on this one. Charlie Parrish, shout out to Charlie. Shared this crank scientist Gary P. Nolan got twisted up like a pretzel and ran away like he always does. Mr. Sassy Pants got caught in a lie. Beautiful reading. And this is just a great moment here. I will not commit. This is Gary P. Nolan when asked very simple questions of him. I will not commit to answering the question within your defined boundaries because I know the game. Do you think you deserve an answer to every question you ask? You should be happy with what you've been told and no mysteries will remain. If you want to know more, go out and do something rather than sit at home raging at the keyboard. One more obnoxious post from you gumming up my notifications, and you'll be blocked. Oh, hell, you're annoying enough already. Block early, block often. Hashtag Bebo. I guess it's another acronym this asshole wants to throw into the fucking lexicon. He needs another acronym. Bebo. Hashtag Bebo, everybody. Block early, block often. And then this is fucking coupled with, this is the best right here. The absolute best. Where the hell did it go? Now I don't have it. Oh my gosh. Where'd it go? Where is his 26 page? Oh, this is great. Lou Elizondo will be at the parade at UFO Fest. So for $47, you can go check him out. Oh, shout out to Steve Long also for resharing that clip of Ross Coulthart. Just amazing. No, I don't need you, D. Dean Johnson. Come on now. Well, here it is right here. Oh, yeah, here it is. I've got the link. I've already opened it. Okay. So this is a UAP rhetoric and answers. I will share this link with the chat. And I'll also put it in the description of the show after the show. But if you want to go read Answering the Rhetoric of Debunkers, a 26-page fucking reference paper on how to answer simple questions from debunkers. Look at this shit. I mean, this is focus. Like, I'll just read the points. I won't go into all the details. But number one, cynical editorial targeting disdained insight. Number two, enforcing the null hypothesis as truth. Number three, unaccountable dismissal supported by groupthink. Number four, misdirection using selective skepticism in Occam's razor. So these are all the things that skeptics bring up, and then he's got a summary and bullet points on how to address misdirection using selective skepticism in Occam's razor. Number five, masquerading activism as skepticism. Number six, fomenting conflict for personal gain. Number seven, defending beliefs rather than seeking truths. Fucking hilarious. Number eight, focusing on minor issues to avoid the bigger picture. Minor issues? Like, none of these idiots have actual direct knowledge? Like that minor issue? Number nine, claiming proof from absence of evidence. I mean, if there's no evidence, if there's an absence of evidence, it kind of leans that it's not accurate. Number 10, mocking scientific method with biased conclusions. Hilarious. Number 11, cherry picking data to enforce a conclusion. I think you guys do that more than anything. Number 12, misusing doubt and Occam's razor to enforce conclusions. Number 13, blocking ideas from scientific testing. Number 14, pretending to represent science while suppressing it. Oh my God, dude, that is you. Number 15, ignoring context to weaken an argument. Number 16, dismissing observations based on disdain. Number 17, rejecting evidence that contradicts beliefs. Number 18, relying on plausibility over evidence. Number 19, unconsciously avoiding challenging evidence. Number 20, generalizing from specific cases. 21, denying obvious explanations. 22, selective doubt based on preconceptions. 23, drawing conclusions from lack of evidence. Man, that's what you fuckers do all the time. 24, replacing scientific inquiry with skepticism. 25, using ridicule to dismiss arguments. And then the last but not least, drawing conclusions from lack of information. So that's 26. So, like, for example, I'll read this last one, though, the summary and everything that he's got here. So, summary. Debunkers base their arguments on gaps in knowledge, assuming that knowing something proves their point. Example related to UAP. A skeptic claims that because we don't understand UAPs completely, they must not be a real phenomenon. Number one, highlight the need for research. Explain the gaps in knowledge, indicate areas of further study, not grounds for dismissal. Number 2, challenge conclusions from ignorance. Point out that conclusions should be based on available evidence, not on what is unknown. What? Number 3, encouraging filing knowledge gaps. Encourage filling knowledge gaps, advocate for continued investigation to obtain the information needed to make informed conclusions about UAPs. And then he goes on to continue for number 3, highlight the need for research, challenge conclusions from ignorance, and encourage filling knowledge gaps. Wouldn't continued investigation help us obtain the information needed to make informed decisions or conclusions about UAPs? Like, he gives you all the fucking answers. Like, you believers need a fucking cheat sheet from Gary Nolan. And here's the thing is, Gary Nolan will not come into any, like, he's got to have his own private fucking foundation, his own private presentation and an invite only conference. He doesn't have the balls or the temerity or the guts, frankly, to come to a space or on my show and answer simple fucking questions. I would guarantee this. I would bet I would run circles around Gary Nolan. If he's got the gumption to come here, I will treat him like a man. I'll be as respectful as he is to me. I'll meet your respect with the respect you give. But from day one, that guy has never, ever done any interview that pushes back on these claims and these things that he believes in. Not one. So for him to write a 26-page on how to deal with people like me when he's never once engaged a person like me and will never do it publicly because you would be embarrassed by an actor who didn't graduate fucking college and would run circles around your belief system. I would wipe my ass with this 26-page response cheat sheet that you've created. This is simple. I challenge anyone from the UAPDA or UAPDF, the UAP Disclosure Fund. I challenge anyone from the Soul Foundation. I challenge anyone from Americans for Safe Aerospace. If you guys want to debate, my door's open. My door's wide open. We could go to a neutral show. We could do it on your show, or we could do it here. It's up to you. Anytime, anywhere. I would love for Gary Nolan to put me in my place. I would love for the opportunity for Gary Nolan to make me look like a complete degenerate, an asshole. Please take the opportunity. The opportunity is all yours. I'm so wrong. Prove it. It doesn't even have to be me. Just go into a simple Twitter space and answer questions from real people. And I'd love to see how well this fucking cheat sheet of yours holds up in that forum. You don't have the fucking guts to do that. You just don't. You never will. You're a coward. Gary Nolan, you're a coward. So that's the show. Fuck, I hate Gary Nolan. Fuck, I hate UFOs. I hate this whole fucking discussion. It's so stupid. Fucking you dickheads need a cheat sheet written by Gary Nolan because you can't answer simple fucking questions. Unreal, dude. Just so pathetic. So pathetic. And, let's just always fucking remember. Let's always remember what Gary Nolan's scientific methods are.
Here's how I think about it. I think it's sort of like an intelligence test.
Oh, yeah?
It's ripe for ridicule, but if you are sufficiently observant and smart, you can jump to the conclusion of what it is without having to have all of the data that proves it.
What's that, Dr. Nolan?
Conclusion of what it is.
You can do what now?
you can jump to the conclusion of what it is without having to have all of the data that proves it.
Come again?
You can jump to the conclusion of what it is without having to have all of the data that proves it.
What?
You can jump to the conclusion of what it is without having to have all of the data that proves it.
But how does that make sense?
You can jump to the conclusion of what it is without having to have all of the data that proves it.
I'm all ears.
And so I can know that something is true without being able to draw a mathematical or geometric line between A to Z.
What?
And so I can know that something is true without being able to draw a mathematical or geometric line between A to Z.
Is that part of your fucking 26-page cheat sheet? I don't have to draw a conclusion from A to Z. I can just jump to Z without having to show you the work. I can show you the answer for the math equation, but I'm not going to show you any of the work and how I got the answer. Just trust me, bro. The answer's right. You can do the work, check it yourself. I just got to trust you, bro. That's the scientific method of Gary Nolan.
And so I think that's part of what's going on here.
Whatever's going on here, stop it immediately.
Do you know what is in front of you and what you're seeing?
No. Nobody knows what the fuck you're talking
it
about.
draws you forward. I mean, it's very self-congratulatory, obviously.
Obviously.
Thinking that, we are the chosen, etc.
Oh.
It makes you similarly subject to ridicule. But I don't see it as that. I see it as people who are showing the way.
You see it as people showing the way.
How about no?
How about no, Gary Nolan? How about no? Fuck you. Fuck Gary Nolan. Fuck the Soul Foundation. Fuck the UAP Disclosure Fund. Fuck the UAP Disclosure Act. Fuck Lou Elizondo. Fuck Sean Cahill. Fuck Tim Gallaudet. Fuck Jake Barber. Fuck all you guys. Fuck all you whistleblowers. All you fucking scientists that think you could just skip the scientific method. Fuck all you guys. Like, all you guys are assholes. And yeah, that's it. With that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I have no idea when I'm going to be back. Again, this topic has gone from number 1 on importance to like number fucking 12. I like doing this show. I like calling this shit out, but honestly, it's like I could have done the show last Friday, but Valentine's Day was last Friday. I took my fiance out to dinner and we had a great date. I'm doing real things and this shit's just not important. It's playtime. It's a hobby. And the people who push it are playing with your fucking time, your money. The most valuable thing that people like Gary Nolan, the Soul Foundation, people like Lou Elizondo, people like fucking Tupacabra and Red Panda Dickface and all of these UFO advocates and assholes, the most important, most valuable thing they steal from you is your fucking time. You're never gonna get that back. You're spending fucking 15 hours a day in a fucking Twitter space trying to get answers that nobody has. You are being stolen the most valuable thing that humans have, and that's time. So with that said, I don't know when I'll be back. We'll be back when the news is worthy of being back. I love all of you that are here. Thanks for sharing the show. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. That way you're notified when we do go live. If you want to support the show with the almighty dollar, there are ways to do that through Venmo, through our super chats. You can support the show. With that said, I hope you guys have a killer rest of your week. First of all, thank you for embarking on this journey. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you for subscribing to Lou Reviews. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one.
Here's how I think about it. I think it's sort of like an intelligence test.
Oh, yeah?
It's ripe for ridicule, but if you are sufficiently observant and smart, you can jump to the conclusion of what it is without having to have all of the data that proves it.
I'm all ears.
And so I can know that something is true without being able to draw a mathematical or geometric line between A to Z. And so I think that's part of what's going on here.
Whatever's going on here, stop it immediately.
Do you know what is in front of you and what you're seeing? and it draws you forward. I mean, it's very self-congratulatory, obviously.
Obviously.
Thinking that, we are the chosen, et cetera. And it's, it makes you similarly subject to ridicule. But I don't see it as that. I see it as people who are showing the way.
How about new?
Here's how I think about it. I think it's sort of like an intelligence test.
All right, y'all. Have a killer night. Thank you, everybody who watched Asynchronicity, Logan Black, Steve Long, Nye, Become Death, Dana Shadell, Breeder Syndicate, Simon Fly, ABG, Pinzer Lou. Thank you for being here, being an amazing mod. Same to you, Matt, Brad Berry, Simon Fly. I think I said